but I feel like if he goes Annie, Quad is just going to play Victor or Ori and just try to like lane lock him and make it just a farm fest. And I'm just wondering, it's like, your star player, do you want on a facilitator? Because it feels to me like for them to actually win this series, they need him to be able to kind of style. They need him to be able to take over.
Yeah, not too sure. There's also Yon still in the game, so there's a lot of different options you can go. So they go for the Corki, it's pretty flexible. Corki is also playable in the mid lane these days with that really bruisery build. And you can pair that with Maokai too to make it so you have like a decent damage spread. So maybe they're looking at Maokai Yon as well. It's just a very strong first pick. It's very flexible. Maybe they want to be reactive, but it is curious that you go blue side if this is your first pick to me.
Yeah, and as we see, Orianna locked in for Quad, so regardless of who he's going to be facing off against, that's one of his signature picks. Obviously, something also very flexible around which FlyQuest can kind of choose to go wherever they want.
And I feel like if I'm FlyQuest, you know, this is the sort of style that you're going to feel super comfortable in, right? You know, you went a scaling comp in game number 1. Yeah. You know, VKS wasn't really able to punish you enough in the early game to actually make anything happen. And if you're just going Ori Sivir, you're saying, I'll just do it again, right? Like, you're being basically put in the exact same situation where they're looking over. It almost doesn't really matter what VKS drafts from here. You do not want to go late against these kind of picks from Fly. They're going to be drafting like straight up 5v5 front to back, and I think it is going to make it really difficult. And they can either counter pick support or top on 5, both I think, which is going to be pretty helpful for them. So for VKS, I feel like they need some ability to actually create action.
K4 can do that. Very aggressive early game jungler. You can look for early lanes.
Yeah, and it's 2 mobile carries. Maybe they pair it with Galio. Galio's had a pretty good win rate against Orianna recently, so you can really get that like explosiveness lockdown. But I do agree with you, Azael, that they're pretty happy right now. I think the Sivir is quite a good pick into the Corki. Yeah. It's very easy to scale. You have the Orianna. If you have flashes up for team fights like they did for basically every single team fight last game, then it's going to be pretty easy for them to close it out.
And I think we might just get Jax here on 3, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Gakgos, I think, is pretty comfortable playing Jax, and it does seem to be one of the go-tos for pro players. This would be, I believe, more if it was Bwipo, the carry. Or like Set is a Bwipo special, but yeah,
there
Jax seemed obvious.
He's just going to lock in the
This
Jax.
feels more like the Gakgos style.
It feels more like Gakgos, and I also did like, again, what FlyQuest did in game 1, where they are like, you're good at this, we're going to help facilitate that, right? Like here, red side automatically gives them counter pick after VKS lock in the Gwen. So the Jax, something he should be super comfortable on in the lane matchup.
Which do you prefer? So in my mind, there's 2 options here. You can either like double ban support and then take support on 4 as FlyQuest and try to really limit the pool, or you can support counter pick. And which do you kind of prefer in those situations?
I like support counter pick. There are fewer variables, and you already know where you're picking on for.
Yeah.
So that way you also get to double target ban your advantage right now, which is mid. You're showing mid, right? So you get to double target ban mid, 5 pick support on 5. And everyone in this game already knows that you're taking jungle on 4.
Yep, that's how I feel as well. I just think, especially when you have a player like Busio, who is, again, one of those guys who can be really flexible. You know, he's happy to play range supports if he thinks it's going to give them the advantage in the 2v2. He's happy to play engage. Can play a lot of different styles.
VivoKate are now going to take away some of those pairings in the jungle, because they're, I think, on the same page, thinking it's going to be that jungle next. So the shock knock, is that what we call it, Azael?
Knock wave.
Okay, the knock wave is
Brother, the shock knock?
That's a shock wave. Not doing shock knock. No, okay.
No.
The
knock wave is far superior.
Knock wave's gone. A couple support bans there. The Annie is the only facilitator in the mid lane. I think you had mentioned the Galio. I don't want to see Mireu on those facilitators. I want to see him on a carry, because that felt like the lane that was really, ahead for VivoKate for a bit there, and he was styling on Quad in the early game. I feel like if VivoKate are trying to pick up a win, it's going to be through getting him on something that can be aggressive early.
I agree. I do want to see him more in a carry champ. I can't think of something that is better for the composition than the Galio here. I do think Sivir's going to have a great time against it, but based on what they drafted, they don't have that many good carry options against the Orianna unless they're just willing to actually slam the Yon, something that's a little unconventional playing with Jarvan. Which is also not very good against Jarvan.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like, if Galio is the best pick for the comp, you just have to play it. And if you can't win with that, then you just can't beat the team, right? Like, at a certain point, you do just have to be able to play League of Legends as well or better than the team you're playing against. So, I mean, I agree. I would love to see him on one of these really aggressive picks. It is going to be Vi here as the answer. That is going to be kind of that delivery vehicle into the back line, with the Orianna saving support counter pick for 5, which we kind of expected. Also really allows them to potentially attack the side lane. And
there we go.
Here's the Galio hover that you've been talking about. I do think it just makes a lot of sense. Jarvan plus Galio. when Ori or Sivir don't have flash, it's very hard to play the game.
Exactly.
So to me now, the question becomes, assuming this is the lock, what do we want to see from Busio? What best protects the carries? Is it an enchanter or is it some sort of melee champ that it can just throw up the wall like a Braum or whatever and protect you? Where's your head at with that?
It really depends what Trymbi locks in. I think he's going to pick the Rakan here, which enchanters are very, very good against. You can go over Nautilus, but Nautilus against Sivir is just not very good. And you don't have the Alistar, you don't have the Realm.
Do you like Renata if it is Rakan? Because to me, I feel like Renata is super strong
Renata is very good against a bunch of melees. It's quite good with Vi, right? You can it's very easy to send them in at the same time.
There we go.
They take away the Renata, which is quite good against the Vi. I haven't seen it that much with Corki. Very interesting takeaway. I kind of like it. There's no way they saw it.
Me too. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have expected that either. So now I'm immediately thinking things like Karma, things that are going to be able to poke, because I feel like Renata has a much weaker lane into ranged matchups and can kind of struggle there. To me, Renata always struggles against range and against poke. And you can draft for that, but it does mean that basically then your only real primary engage is Inspired. Like sure, Gakgos can flank or whatever and jump with Counter-Strike, but really it's just Inspired, and that is gonna be the option. So they're gonna play more for that 2v2. Yes, you don't have the ability to just like throw a hostile takeover, but Mantra, Inspire is still a lot of shielding for when the Jarvan comes in.
Yeah, these are pretty good composition from both sides. I do think that Sivir might be a little bit hard to deal with if he has flash, but the Renata takeaway I think was very, very smart, and that made the draft like pretty close for both teams.
So yeah, who won?
Who won? I'm gonna go with FlyQuest just because this Orianna Sivir is gonna be so strong, but it's so hard to play these compositions with one engage, which is Vi against Galio comp. So it is really gonna be, can they scale like they did in game one? If not, like this blue side comp is still very, very good. I think this was a very good draft from both sides.
Cool.
All right, that's our thoughts
now
on
to
it.
an interview?
Yeah, I'm curious what the casters think about that one now with FlyQuest up one game in the series.
Thank you very much, Lounge. I'm thinking that I understand your points. I understand the ideas about scaling, but I would like more than one kill at 20 minutes here in this one. So I'm hoping everybody's got their hand warmers. They're warmed up after game number one, and we can see a little bit more action in the early game here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we get some Jarvan action. I do really like how Galio and Renata can both be used as counter engage to a Vi or follow-up gauge to their own Jarvan going in and try and punish the low mobility carries of Orianna and Sivir here. So a couple of flexible options there for VKS this time around. But I do kind of like what FlyQuest have set themselves up with, and especially for top lane with how well it went for Gakgos last time around. Getting him the Jax answer into the Gwen this time around. Though Gwen is going Ignite here, so be a little bit extra careful about the all-in.
I think getting Gakgos counterpick in as many situations as they can is just very important in keeping him comfortable for this series. I also do like what ThinkCard said about this just being a good draft for both teams. There's a reason that both of these teams won the North and the South respectively. They know how to pilot many different drafts and be very flexible in this Fearless format. So the Renata pick is great. Kobe, you mentioned that the Karma just doesn't look good to you. We blame Ayla for that.
The recent Karmas that we have seen have not looked so good.
We just feel like at top turret at some point, he's just going to die to the turret randomly. Just not sure. But in the context of the team composition, Karma Sivir, extra move speed, big empowered shields if someone does actually get caught in the Jarvan Galio, which would be, to me, the one weakness of this team where Orianna and Sivir do not have innate dashes. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah, and for lane phase, it's actually really nice to have Karma, obviously. You know, you have really good poke there, your Karma poke and your Sivir poke, so we'll see how much they can get done.
All right, it's level one. The minions have collided, and while we're waiting on the action to break out, we got ThinkCard standing by for an interview with Vivo K-Star's Coach Seal.
You're on.
Hey, I'm here with Coach Seal. How are you feeling after the game one? And I think the specific question I have to ask is, I think the Renata takeaway is very smart. Can you talk us through the logic there?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to come into us, and I mean, they can choose to play on 2 turns because they outrange us, right? And so we kind of want to force them onto like the outrange option and look to dive them, like counter dive them. So that's kind of the reason behind taking away the Renata. But most importantly, it was more so like, where can I put my playmakers in my team? And it just seemed feasible for me to put Trymbi on Renata here. So because I think he has a lot of things he can do in this game.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I thought that FlyQuest had the better draft, but until you took away the Renata, I was like, damn, like it's actually really close now. So Thank you, Seal, for your input, and back to you guys.
He's dead. Back to us and back to the spawn platform for Quad. Nice gank here. Not even 3 minutes into the game, Disamis is in the mid lane, setting it up for first blood.
Yep, the Jarvan is who we thought was going to get the early action going for you, and he delivers, Flowers. Are you happy?
I am entertained.
Going flash for flash, though, is good for Galio because you can constantly re-threaten those Jarvan ganks. So really good and efficient play. Now, 3-camp ganks have become a lot more popular this year with the changes to jungle. And we see them quite frequently, but it's very efficient to just do full red side, pass through mid on your way to your other side here.
Yeah.
Just takes a couple extra seconds,
Very good,
and
guys.
especially because the setup was
flash,
so
Orianna,
good.
okay.
Yeah,
And
when
I
you have a
also-
champion like Jarvan,
Yeah, I also got to say that that's the first kill of the series for VKS. So they were really hoping to pull something off early. They don't want to get outscaled like they did last time. But just a reminder, this is the #1 team from the South, and they have quite a history.
They certainly do, and coming back in 2003, and Coach Seal said it was going to be like this 5-year plan, and he's made a lot of changes.
A lot of faces.
The ones that we want to focus on are the solo lanes, as solo lanes right now are pretty big.
Gakgos nearly gets the solo kill, but instead he gets ignited. The minions are also going to attack him. Inspired ends up making the kill come through for FlyQuest. So it is still advantageous for FlyQuest because they get the assist money as well because Inspired shows up to help with that. But Boal doing a great job there dealing with Gakgos. Gakgos thought he had enough damage and just barely missed out on it.
Ooh, yeah, and then Inspired, he's able to E, and the AoE from his E activation through the turret onto the Gwen to actually secure the kill. It does get Gakgos the assist, but Boal in the 1v1, gets the full kill credit there. Did have to invest all summoners from both players here as Gakgos teleported right back out.
Yeah, really aggressive from Gakgos, not having the Ignite advantage in that matchup, right? Boal will take the Ignite to try and avoid situations like that. I think very well played by him, though, to get the kill back. Still keeping the gold very even, and we're definitely getting much more action in this one than we did in Game 1.
Inspired, though, a pretty efficient guy. This is someone we always highlight. So he got to do a full clear into collecting that actual kill and steal away Gromp. So this is the very beginning of it where he steals away the Gromp. Wow, Gakgos, the communication is there. He's getting, Gwen super low. Thought he could finish it. The extra resistance is from the W, but we're back to live, and it's a counter kill there.
Dead Galio.
Quad has been able to secure the kill. Looks like Inspired flashed. So maybe it was a Q flash from Inspired to start it out, and they kill the Galio. They punish the Galio for offensively flashing last time around.
Yeah, we mentioned last time, like, oh yeah, this is great going flash for flash with the enemy guy because you can set up those repeat ganks. So can he.
Yeah, absolutely. Inspired, keeping up his efficiency. If we don't get a replay of that, I went and checked it on my PC. He just came from bot river. It was a charged up Q flash. We're going to see it in the bottom screen right here. Immediately after the E from the Galio was used just to clear the wave and look for reset. So just perfect arrival there by Inspired, and another kill assist there for the Vi.
Really, really big stuff from him. This is a guy that everyone has talked about so frequently in the current year and the previous year. Actually,
a lot of talk.
Even the South players that we had on the Pros podcast. We're talking about, they would vote him as the most valuable player from both leagues. So a lot of respect there. Meanwhile, he's at it again.
Yep, Inspired's ready to arrive and shut down Boal up here. Gakgos sets it up, Inspired collects it, and that is feats of warfare claimed for FlyQuest.
All done by Inspired. 2 kills and 1 assist. Ganks are 3 for 3, as well as being up in CS. That is the perfect first 7 minutes for the Vi.
And I want to keep highlighting, he's still clearing his camps while he's doing this. So he's just adding mid lane and top laners as extra camps on his clear and stealing away enemy Gromp. So like his farm is already ahead. Currently his blue's getting stolen.
Ooh, he might fight it though.
He's got smite though, so that definitely should be a steal for Jarvan. There you go. Good, at least little answer there for Jarvan to at least steal away blue. But Inspired has been incredibly time efficient with these ganks that he's gone for too.
And I mean, that's one of the things that ThinkCard was talking about at the top of the day, right? Is if Vivo K-Stars want to be able to keep up with Inspired, who everybody's looking at as this best jungler in the Western Hemisphere right now, you've got to make sure that you're staying efficient while you're making plays. Because he's always going to be doing that himself, if you're making plays and he's making plays, but for some reason he's always light years ahead of you in terms of farm, that's going to be a level lead. That's going to be a massive disadvantage as the game goes forward.
I will also say, as good as he is, when you are getting a lot of kills and a lot of CS and stuff and you're racking up a gold bounty, okay, it actually just dropped off of his head. But he had a gold bounty. Vi is a champion that has to be careful when she gets gold bounties.
Because it's easy to deliver them?
Yes, especially when you're playing into a Galio, into a Renata. But, you know, the bounty has actually dropped off his head, and at the moment, VKS will just at least start up the grubs.
It looks like they're going to be getting probably all three of them uncontested, as Inspired is still clearing his camps and none of the lanes are on the move. And it's a good point to bring up about the game state that Inspired's going to have to play into. There are a lot of champions set up to shut him down in teamfights, so it is very good that he had the good start to the game, but he needs to continue to play at a high level as the grubs all go over to VKS.
All right, all 3 grubs for them, but grubs are always more of a down payment objective. You still need to be able to have push in your lanes. You still need to be able to get firing time on the turrets to really have those pay off. So we'll see how VKS's macro can accommodate being able to secure that early advantage for themselves now for the 2nd game in a row. It is already Feat of Warfare secured for the side of FlyQuest, so at least VKS off to a good start in trying to secure one of those others. It is another game, though, where we are seeing a very late first Dragon.
I think that they actually might make a mid play and then go for that, because the result of all this money on Inspired is that he has a fully finished Sundered Sky right now. So you know Inspired is feeling very powerful. He is the one on both teams, the only person with a fully completed item. So that gives you the authority to go then start up that Dragon. And it looks like everywhere else is just going to go for their regular resets.
Yeah, but I think they just get it because of the lane matchup top lane. Gakgos has the teleport, whereas Corki obviously does not with Flash and Barrier, so there would be a numbers advantage for FlyQuest anyway, and Vi very efficient at taking the Dragon.
Nicely done there for FlyQuest, as Boal will take his position, trying to defend against Massu and Busio down here in this bottom lane. Honestly, we haven't really looked a lot at bottom through these first 10 minutes or so because there hasn't been a whole lot happening. It is slight gold leads across the board for everybody on the FlyQuest side, as Massu just keeps that pressure on. I can't actually tell if he got the plate or if it needs one more hit. Okay.
It's like
it's like the smallest
sliver away. He was trying to like ricochet it off of Boal, but he didn't. I didn't see the gold
9 HP. Okay, so it's at 3,009 out of 5K.
Don't you worry, that he's gonna get it.
Are you sure?
that's a lot of HP, Kobe. It's a whole 9.
Oh my goodness, the minion wave disappeared somehow.
All right, plate secured there for Massu, getting this Sivir fed. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but the combination of the Sivir and the Karma together with On the Hunt plus the Mantra E just makes you so incredibly fast. And if FlyQuest does keep up this early game tempo, you know, they're already 1,500 gold ahead. That's pretty good for 10 minutes into the game. It can become very scary for VKS anytime they're away from the turrets.
I completely agree, but also with FlyQuest having this early gold lead, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get more aggressive, because the way they win this game is they get a lot of durability on Orianna, who's getting ganked again.
Okay, Quad under pressure, flashing out of the Cataclysm. So at least the Summoner spell earned for that Jarvan gank.
But with no flash, that does mean he's going to be a target for the next Galio ultimate if they fight around an objective. That's why he needs to have the durability, and preferably Azonia's. And Sivir also with the barrier as well as Spell Shield. That's their defense against the Jarvan Galio combo. If they fight without those tools, that's when they're going to be most vulnerable.
I mean, they're kind of rotating in here through the jungle to try and keep up their pressure as well. Orianna in the side lane, they definitely could prey on. So, like the look here from VKS, remaining aggressive in the early stages.
Okay, Busio is going to fight off Disamis. We do already have the Rod of Ages stacking for the Orianna. We've got the tier about 2/3 of the way charged up towards being able to immediately evolve into Seraphs once he completes the Archangels. I'm right there with you, Jatt. I think it's going to be Seeker's Arm Guard as soon as those first 2 core items are done, and then he'll be feeling great.
FlyQuest have to be very careful at the moment. A lot of pressure here. VKS really do want to make some sort of move here with Jarvan ultimates. You know, either get a flash out of the Sivir or try and punish the flashless Orianna. So Orianna, you know, is going to be the main target, but looks like he's pretty far pushed up. Inspired is going to hover around, and full protection from FlyQuest. So very nicely, I feel like, done from there.
They're
Here
really
comes the
going for a play, though.
Teleport flank behind him.
Okay, Boal looking to make a play on the bottom side at the same time as Morttheus has to try to flash away. Reinforced now by the grand entrance from the Galio. Inspired in some danger here with the Vi, but he wants to turn it right back around onto Disamis and the Jarvan. Meanwhile, bottom side, Quad versus Mireu. Not quite going to work out the way they wanted to, as Busio and Inspired and Massu are still fighting back here in this 3v4 in the mid lane. Boal did drop to Quad down there in the bottom lane while the massive fight was happening in mid.
That's so good for FlyQuest. A small miracle that Inspired is able to escape there using his ult on the way out. And I gotta see how Quad got that kill.
See, Inspired's just good. That's how he escaped. He actually,
He's just good.
He created the space, and since he has you know, the early lead, and then he uses his ult to get back to the Galio. Busio actually does a good thing. He walks up next to him. They heal and try and walk away, plus using his shield. But I think the reason why Mireu dropped down to Quad, or Boal dropped down to Quad, he thought Mireu was going to come to him.
Yeah.
So on this teleport, the call is probably kill this flashless Orianna. But because Inspired and Busio start the fight on the other side, Galio ends up going over there. Yeah, see, he actually was walking towards the Orianna, so that probably communication was like, Boal, move up, you know, play aggressively into it. And then they have this juke on the other side from Inspired. He goes over, uses his ult to cross, and then they move on up.
Weirdly enough, the Renata ultimate actually helped Inspired move away from the rest of the team as well. It's the icing on the cake.
And the last thing, too, the root from Busio on the Karma that locks up Mireu as he tried to hit the Galio taunt, so no efficacy there either.
Yeah, so it seems like they've got the comms of, hey, Galio's going to teleport in. This Orianna has no, you know, flash, so Boal, you're free to grow aggressive. But then he went to the other side of the map, and Quad's like, great, I'll take the 1v1, because you just used everything.
Yeah, I feel like Trymbi knows that that play was really bad for their overall state of the game. Already down one Drake, next one in 20 seconds. They expended a lot on that play with the teleport just to have it not go their way. And while all that was happening, Gakgos was getting free experience on the other side of the map as well. So that entire 1 kill for 0 for FlyQuest was essentially a 4v5.
Yeah, and money for himself. Trinity Force fully completed, extra call fields, Warhammer, Intel as well. Jax will be an issue this time around.
20 seconds until the Rift Herald spawns. The second Drake is already live here on the map. Lost Chapter in the inventory of Quad alongside that now fully stacked tier, so he's about to hit another power spike on his next purchase once he can buy that Archangels into the Seraphs immediately.
Gwen with no completed item versus Jax Trinity Force Plus. That means free tower, and here comes Inspired again.
Yeah, it might be more than just a free tower. Inspired and Gakgos working together for the 2v1, and it's easy to get it. Gakgos picks up the 5th kill of the game for FlyQuest. Massu getting jumped on now, though, and they do kill him off before Busio can try to protect him. Morttheus and Trymbi win out in the 2v2 here in the mid lane, but now Inspired's ready to make it an even trade. He jumps in, lands the ulti, killing spree Inspired.
And he wants to stop this Drake, too. We're not done.
Okay, Mireu and Disamis trying to work on this one, but now a nice Cataclysm locks up Inspired. He wants to jump back over the wall here with a Vault Breaker, but the Galio ulti arrives a little bit too late. Inspired still on the run. He wants to protect the bounty. He's running all the way around. The Blast Cone might be able to get him away to safety and at least give some extra distance. Inspired still trying to run. Mireu rooted up by Busio as he and Quad are providing distraction. Inspired gets out, and FlyQuest are onto the objective.
Is this an LTA playoffs game or an Inspired highlight reel?
Both. It is both.
Yes.
This is crazy work, man. What in the world? All right, we throw a lot of compliments at Inspired kind of universally, but this game is getting ridiculous.
Everywhere he goes just becomes a good play. That play started with Inspired killing the Gwen in the top lane, shoots mid lane, cleans up a kill, shoots to Drake, stops the Drake, does the ring around the Rosie. What can't he do this series?
This is crazy work. Okay, so back to an actual good play from VKS. They get their kill, they jump immediately onto Massu and delete him, but as you say, coming from his previous play, killing off the top laner, Inspired's then able to clean up and kill an easy one. This is the real...
I mean, absolutely no hesitation. He already knows because they're on the ward that he's just going to clean up the kill, leave from there. Knows that the Galio's cutting off the other direction, so he just extends this play by running up the back.
And it actually is fairly difficult for Vi to actually gain room to use your Qs when you're like that. Plus, he was also slowed by the exhaust. but he moved down perfectly to the bottom side of the Cataclysm to find the only open space for him to be able to release his Q without hitting someone to gain the distance, and then he releases the other one to avoid the knockup, and then the blast cone is there for the instant dragon pickup. It's like actually crazy.
And he knew he could run behind enemy lines to escape because he just killed the only other 2 guys that he wasn't seeing on his screen. There was no way somebody showed up to cut him off. Beautiful sequence there from Inspired. Obviously, while we were watching the replays, the Rift Herald was also taken, secured there by FlyQuest, who are 5,500 gold ahead now, 17.5 minutes into the game. They are stomping game 2.
They are, and I really do not want to lose the performance of Gakgos despite Inspired playing so well, because for a player that is this young, that only got 2 stage games with FlyQuest throughout the entire regular season, to come into a high pressure, basically finals qualification match, winner of this goes to the grand finals, and be way up on Aurelia in game 1, and now with the Jatt counterpick into Gwen in game 2 being half of the gold lead, he is performing extremely well.
Busio in some danger though. VKS trying to full commit here to the Karma, but the flash out keeps Busio nice and healthy. FlyQuest trying to continue fighting this one as Boal makes his teleport into the fight now. Massu and Busio firing back onto Disamis as Inspired jumps into the middle of the fight and then flashes over the wall to avoid the aggro. Boal and Morttheus trying to find the kills, and they've got one on Massu. They're going to pick up 2. Trymbi's under pressure though, and Gakgos has the counter strike to beat him down. It's a bloody battle as FlyQuest lose both of their carries, but Inspired and Gakgos are both still alive. The front line, the bruisers here on this team are so difficult to deal with. It's a 3 for 2 for FlyQuest.
Looks like Mireu was able to escape on the backside of that fight, but that was just an insanely well-played fight all around. FlyQuest playing at the max range this entire time, using the speed from the Karma and the Sivir to buy time for Gakgos to arrive on the back end. That felt like the last fight that VKS had in them that they could possibly win in this game, and FlyQuest, I think, outplayed them.
Yeah, so they start with the opener on the bottom lane again, which I do like from VKS. Busio, though, still had flash, so they're able to create a lot of time. Here, I think the Galio ult is a little early because FlyQuest aren't yet committed to that area of the map, and so Inspired kind of baits it out a little bit, I guess. They were a little bit antsy there. But then, with the Renata bailout here, gaining a little bit of time, VKS actually came away with, multiple kills there, considering the state of the game and how far they were down.
I shield for you, Massu, when I spawn. Oh, don't ask why I shielded.
We won't ask, okay.
Yeah. All right. They won the fight.
No questions.
Probably the right person.
FlyQuest still up about that 6,000 gold. And yeah, considering how far down VKS was, getting a 2 for 3 fight isn't that bad, but the clock is ticking against them. FlyQuest is continuing to build advantages. Otacon has now spawned on this bottom side of the map here yet again, and we're seeing a lot of bodies in the area.
Yeah, VKS, they just have to be very careful about the timings of their Galio ult and their Renata ult, because those two are really big teamfight winning ultimate abilities. And if FlyQuest have not fully committed to the area that they're using them in, then it's going to be very hard for them to actually overcome the deficit that they're looking at within items.
Ooh, Inspired trying to take his blue buff now, but the big engage coming out from VKS. Inspired, he's down. Beautiful pick. Arrives from Vivo Cade Stars on the enemy jungler, but now Trymbi's under pressure. Gakgos going in here for the 4v5. Renata ulti doesn't get a whole lot of value. Trymbi casts the bailout on himself, but it's not enough. Now Boal looking to put the pressure onto Massu as Disamis jumps into the back line, but it is not enough. Massu survives for so long as Gakgos has to try to get away from the enemy AD carry. He runs for the brushes, but he cannot escape. Quad and Busio versus 3. Mireu drops down. It's a 2v2 in the back end of the fight. Morttheus tries to go in and find the damage, but Quad gets the kill. Boal wants to get Busio, but he can't find him. It's an ace for 3. It's FlyQuest with the team fight.
That's some bloody LTA action for you, Flowers. Number 1 South versus number 1 North. In the end, Quad is able to carry the rest of the fight after VKS made a pick on Inspired, on the guy that has been making all these plays in the game. They started out with a huge pick on him. They kill him off before the Herald fully spawns. Inspired was trying to summon the Herald and then use the Herald as his getaway getaway car, but all members of VKS attack simultaneously.
And I have to give them credit. That's a crazy play to attempt. A 5-man jungle invade to blue buff 30 seconds before the next Drake with Otacon up, and it almost pays off for them after they get a clean Kalando inspired without really having to burn any ults. FlyQuest still says, guess you're not that strong. We're going to beat you in this 4v5 fight. Gakgos does a ton of damage around the outside, and I'd say Quad is the finisher in this fight, dodging that last Galio E and staying strong, finishing off the Corki with the assist of Otacon, who really wanted to be involved.
Watching Otacon fly into the lane and attack minion waves and champions never gets old. What a bloody fight. 8 dead out of 10 players all participating in the fight.
We got more.
Back to live. The Otacon's at half HP. Gakgos in the middle of everybody here, but it's a ton of damage onto Disamis as well. He tries to go for the Cataclysm onto Quad to give himself a way out, but it won't work. Now Boal's going to be your next target as Inspired dives into the back line. Mireu's under pressure and Morttheus as well. The Galio ulti flies up. FlyQuest may have overcommitted. Morttheus has managed to find a couple of kills. Trymbi and Mireu the last 2 standing, but FlyQuest are just 2 far ahead, 19-10. It's another ace for 2.
Yeah, the carries of FlyQuest are very strong now, and with the Otacon on top of it, this is really going to push FlyQuest over the edge. VKS made, another honorable attempt at, trying to take one of these team fights, but this one even more one-sided than the last, and the rewards will be greater.
And I love how different both of these games are, because this is FlyQuest with a 9,000 gold lead, and look at how VKS's composition wants to work here. So even though the Jarvan goes down early, watch how they actually can repel this dive. Once Gakgos and Inspired fly in, the Renata, the Galio, repel the dive, and actually both divers end up falling. I feel like it's only because FlyQuest is so far ahead that they can keep flying through with the Orianna and the Sivir to eventually win the fight. But you can see the concept of why this VKS composition could have worked in this game, but FlyQuest played so much more aggressively early in this game, accumulating kills to get the lead so they could do stuff like this later.
Yeah, exactly. The gold lead is just manifested in too much of an item difference. Now with Otacon, all these petals, 31 petals to their name that are all empowered, they're looking at this 3-minute timer for Dragon Soul with their mouths watering on the side of FlyQuest. So 3 minutes are on the clock, Flowers. Actually, we don't even have to wait that long.
Nope, it looks like Boal's going to be the target here. This is the problem when you go for TP Ignite. It paints a giant target on your back. Gakgos and Inspired, they needed a little bit more damage, but the Drain Tank deceptive durability of Gwen gets Boal out of there. He stays alive and avoids the potential play from FlyQuest.
Maybe we only put 20 seconds on the clock because Baron, they are really far ahead, so they could mess around with some Baron starts and look for turns, but the safer play would be play for Soul.
Yeah, they burned both Jax and Violets going for that one. Boal did a great job getting the healing off, and Trymbi's redemption saved him at the end. I do feel like if they find the right angle, they'll go back in, but I think they definitely want to wait for the Jax and the Vi ultimates. I think at this point, they're just going to try and keep mid lane pushed and repel any type of engage that VKS try on them.
At the very least, you want to get mid tower down before you would try and do too much Baron baiting from the side of FlyQuest. The mid tower is some nice defense for VKS to actually work off of and get some positioning, which is allowing them to go get plenty of Baron vision at the moment. So probably just play for Soul at the moment here for FlyQuest, although this play on the top side, VKS looking around for some objective bounty maybe before things get too spicy, but don't think they can overcommit to any side. FlyQuest territory is very dangerous for them.
Cloud Soul 2 feel like that synergizes so well for FlyQuest composition for so many of their characters. It's just so scary for VKS to then have to try to deal with that. We saw the bottom lane fight, how yes, they were managing to kite out the divers and they escaped the attack crew. It's going to be a lot harder if they run 4,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and they still have flash in case they do get Jarvan ulted that one time to escape the Galio ultimate. So their carries have been able to really maintain their elusiveness throughout this entire game. And FlyQuest, even though they played a lot of these fights aggressively, are in no rush at this point in the game. They'll take the Baron, I think, if it's a free B, but I believe they're probably just stalling this extra 50 seconds before the next Drake.
All right, that mid lane tier 1 that Kobe was talking about, that thing is at death's door, but Trymbi and Morttheus are doing a dedicated job keeping it alive. They want to continue being able to play around it. They want to continue having that bastion of safety, knowing that, yeah, even if they lose the Dragon Soul, it's going to be about this Baron every part of the conversation after. Still about an 8,000 gold lead for FlyQuest, still 3 Drakes to nothing. And I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, because this is the second game in a row now that all 3 Grubs have gone to Vivo Cade Stars. They have no turrets taken. They have not been able to profit off of that early down payment they made for that objective, and there's really no value they've been able to derive from it. As the mid lane tier 1 turret is about to die, one more auto attack from Quad gets it done, throws the ball forward. No shockwave here just yet. Flash out from Disamis to make sure he doesn't get caught out by that one. Would have been a terrible time to lose your jungler, as FlyQuest now take the objective and march over towards the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, and Trymbi's flash too. That was a high value shockwave. Quad gets 2 flashes before the Dragon Soul fight. I wonder, does that mean, okay, they're just going to send it up towards the Baron area. VKS are running up there at the moment. They want to at least threaten. If FlyQuest are going to take Dragon Soul, we're going to threaten you at Baron.
I think the threat is you better get over here, because they are full sending after the Baron right now, but it's not going down that fast. Massu solos out the Drake. It's Cloud Soul secured for the side of FlyQuest. Baron still only at about half HP. Disamis jumps in. Remember, there's no flash here for the Jarvan. There's no way to get back out, and he drops. Now Boal's in the middle of everybody, but the Hallowed Mist can't protect him forever. Morttheus under pressure, and Gakgos is looking to bring him down here with a counter-strike. They're so damn fast. A double kill back over to Gakgos, and only Mireu is still left alive. Inspired is going to send him to meet his friends. That's an ace for nothing, plus a soul, plus a Baron, plus the game for FlyQuest.
15 kills to 0 in game 1, 24 to 10 here in game 2. FlyQuest wins slow and fast to take a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, they came out swinging here in this second game. Inspired was all over the map, and once FlyQuest got ahead, they stayed there. 24 kills in 28 minutes, and the LTA North's #1 seed is on match point.
And they're looking very good with Gakgos in.
Yeah.
This is 2 good games from him on the Aurelia, on the Jax, on these melee carries. And FlyQuest looking strong.
They've done such a good job making Gakgos feel comfortable, and Inspired was insane in that game. Lounge, who was your MVP?
I'd say
Inspired from that game.
I think so.
We're sitting here vibing, eating popcorn. You kind of interrupted our like game.
That was so rude of them. We were talking about popcorn.
I know. For me, Inspired though was by far and away the difference maker. And we talked about what shifts might have to happen on this FlyQuest team. He's kind of gone back to playing a lot more for his lanes than being the carry and having